Chapter 16. How much longer, Panditji? I said. My back hurt from sitting cross-legged on the floor for over 2 hours. Marriages get done faster than this. The village priest chanted holy mantras for my peaceful and successful rule. Whatever. Around 200 people from Dumra and nearby villages had come to attend the ceremony. People sat on red plastic chairs. Giant pedestal fans recirculated the hot air. I recognized a few important guests. MLA Vijay Oja, a 60-year-old man who had been in local politics for over 40 years, sat in the front row. The district collector and the police inspector sat next to him. Local press reporters took pictures and hovered around them. Finally, my mother presented the royal crown to Panditji. She had taken it out of her family safe. It was one of the few precious items we had left. Panditji placed the 2-kilo crown on my head. The crowd applauded. My mother burst into tears. She gave me a hug, an embarrassing public display of affection. Happy now? I said, whispering in her ear. My Rajkumar. She hugged me even tighter. I was sweating profusely in my velvet Bangala suit. Rajkumar is melting in the heat. Can it change? I said. I came down from the stage. Reporters made me pose for photos. My mother introduced me to guests even as reporters took my pictures. Mubarak, Rajkumar Sahib, said a young man in his 20s. My mother introduced him as Akhtar Hussain, one of the 2 teachers in her school. Call me Madhav, I said to Akhtar, shaking his hand. He seemed embarrassed at the suggestion. Madhav, meet Tejlal, another teacher at our school, and Tarasan ji, the administrative officer, my mother said. I folded my hands to wish both men, each in their 50s. I will be joining the school too, I said. My mother's staff looked at her in surprise. I thought you went to a top college in Delhi, Akhtar said. So? I said. You can get a good job anywhere, Akhtar said. This is not a good job, I said. Everyone grinned. MLA Oja reached us. He had a thick mustache, upwardly mobile on either side. Congratulations, Rani Sahiba, he said. Oja ji, thank you so much for coming, my mother said. He folded his hands to take permission to leave. But what about lunch? I have 2 other functions in Buxar. Please excuse me, he said, hands still folded. My mother looked at me. She wanted me to persuade him to stay. Oja ji, still a little while. We can eat together, I said. No, Rajkumarji. Besides, you won't be done soon. See, the line has built up. I turned around to find a queue of about 50 villagers waiting to seek my blessings. A few kids came up to me. They wanted to touch the sword attached to my waist. I guess if you look like a clown, you do attract some attention. If only voters loved their netas like they love you, MLA Oja said before he left. One by one, I blessed the villagers. Is he a real prince, like those in stories? I overheard a young girl whisper to another. Of course he is, her friend said. So where is his princess? The young girl said. I smiled. My princess had moved to another faraway kingdom. What time is school tomorrow, Ma? I said. 7 in the morning. Think about work later. Enjoy being the ruler today, she said. It is no fun being a ruler when someone else still rules you. The Dumran Royal School is a 20-minute walk from our Haveli. I accompanied my mother as we hiked through fields at 6:30 in the morning. There are 3 shifts, over 200 students in each. My mother said, 7 to 10:30, 10:30 to 2, and 2 to 5:30. We reached the grey and black school building. It seemed much older than the last time I'd seen it. Why is it black? I said. Hasn't been painted in 5 years. Every year, the rains wreck the plaster even more. I wondered how Stevens managed to keep its walls a perfect reddish brown. The first shift kids had arrived. They played in the fields outside the school. We had 2 classrooms and a common staff room. The staff room had a long table with several chairs. The teachers used the room to rest in during breaks or to check notebooks. Why is it so dark? I said. Power comes at 8, my mother said. The long table had a stack of files and books at 3 corners. Akhtar, Tej, and I have a corner each. The empty one is yours, my mother said. She sat down on her end. She lit a candle and opened a file. These windows could be bigger, I said. My mother nodded without looking up. Akhtar, Tej, and Tarachand arrived in the next 5 minutes. They folded their hands when they saw me. Please treat me as a new employee, I said to them. Amused, Akhtar and Tej collected their books for class. Tarachand stepped outside the staff room. He rang the brass bell in the corridor. The teachers left for their classes. Tarachand came back and spoke to my mother. SMDC didn't send anyone, he said. Oh no, my mother said. He promised. The officer gave me his word, Taraji. I went to his house, Rani Sahiba. He said he tried hard to justify more funds. Tarachand said, we want one toilet. How hard is it to justify funds for one toilet for 700 children? My mother said. He said most schools in the area manage without one. Why is Rani Sahiba fussing? Ask him for half a toilet. Tell him to make one for the girls. One girl's toilet. Taraji, my mother said. Don't embarrass me, Rani Sahiba. I tried. We need money for so many other things too. We need to plaster the roofs, make more rooms, and whitewash the building. SMDC said they have nothing. Noises came from the corridor. Kids had assembled outside. Make them sit, please, my mother said. Tarachan stepped out to manage the crowd. The children sat down at one end of the corridor. They faced a wall painted black. My mother held her forehead with her right hand. You okay? I said to her. She nodded. What's SMDC? The School Monitoring and Development Committee. A government body meant to help rural schools. They come, watch, and leave. Nobody ever helps anyone. The lights came on. The fan above started to creak. The cold breeze felt wonderful on my sweaty skin. My mother leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes, enjoying the fan's breeze. Why are the children sitting in the corridor? I said, disturbing her reverie. Huh? Oh, that is class, my mother said. The morning shift had class 1 to 4. Class 2, 3, and 4 used the available classrooms. Class 1 used the corridor as a classroom. I looked outside the staff room. Kids sat on the floor, waiting for my mother. Help me with enrollment. Villagers don't like sending kids to school, my mother said. But Ma, I want to teach as well, I said. There's lots of other work. Tarachan ji is hopeless at paperwork. Sounds boring. It's important. I need someone to keep records and lobby with the authorities. I don't have the energy. I took a deep breath and nodded. Like the school, my mother was turning old and weak. Ma, can we pay for some of these repairs? I said. My mother looked at me. I knew the answer from her expression. I try to give what I can. We hardly have money to repair the Haveli. You were studying in Delhi, so I had that expense. Don't have much. I feel guilty. I wondered if I could have served my mother better by accepting that HSBC job. At least I could have sent her a check every month. We manage. Don't worry. I am happy you are here, my mother said, reading my mind. How? I said. I take no salary. I pay the staff. If something breaks down, I pay for it. Beyond that, it is difficult. The government is supposed to aid us. They don't. What about what we earn from the fees? It's nothing. The fee is 5 rupees a month. Even then, many students don't pay on time. If we are lucky, the fee covers the electricity bill. The noise levels in the corridor increased. A cacophony of conversation, laughter, and screaming drowned our conversation. Look at them, noisy monkeys. I better go, my mother said. She walked out. The difference between 70 kids on their own and 70 kids with a teacher can be immense. In an instant, the class fell silent. I spent the rest of the morning reading all the files and documents related to the school. I quickly realized that running a school of 700 with a staff of 4 is no joke. Okay, start counting in English, my mother shouted outside. 1, 2, 3, the kids chanted in unison. I didn't know whether these kids from the village would ever use their knowledge of English numerals. Still, watching them learn something felt good. It felt better than watching a movie at a Delhi multiplex. It felt better than the posh party at Ria's house. From now on, these kids are my life, I told myself.